Hey beautiful, have you considered subscribing to our channel? It helps us make quality content for you. Help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. The morning sun cast a golden glow through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Brew Haven, a cozy coffee shop tucked between a bookstore and a florist. The air was thick with the scent of freshly ground beans and vanilla syrup, mingling with the low murmur of customers. Students hunched over laptops, freelancers sipping lattes, and the occasional retiree flipping through a newspaper. Behind the counter, Jake wiped down the espresso machine with practiced ease, his sleeves rolled up to reveal a tattoo of a coffee cup with wings. At 22 he'd already mastered the art of tuning out chaos, until she stormed in. The door slammed open with a jingle that sounded more like a warning bell than a welcome. Karen Prescott, mid-40s, clad in a leopard print blazer and oversized sunglasses, clicked across the tile floor like a metronome set to impatience. Her phone was glued to her ear, her voice slicing through the calm like a serrated knife. "No, Gregory, that proposal was mine. No, listen." She jabbed the screen to end the call and shoved the phone into her designer purse with a snarl. Jake plastered on his customer service smile. "Good morning. What can I get?" "Venti iced caramel macchiato," she interrupted, not bothering to look at him. "Extra caramel, light ice, and I said non-fat milk last time, but someone obviously didn't listen." Her acrylic nails tapped the counter like a judge's gavel. Jake's smile tightened. "Got it? That'll be $5.50. Karen's head snapped up. Her lips, painted a violent shade of mauve, twitched. "Excuse me?" Jake gestured to the menu board. "Price adjustment last week. Just 50 cents more for..." 50 cents? Her voice ricocheted off the walls. A toddler at a nearby table dropped his cookie. "I've been coming here for 3 years, and suddenly you're nickel-and-diming me?" Jake's pulse kicked up. He'd dealt with difficult customers before, but Karen had the energy of a wasp trapped in a car. "Ma'am, it's a corporate decision. I don't set the prices." Karen's laugh was razor-sharp. "Oh please. Next you'll tell me this system won't let you refund me." She leaned in, her perfume cloying and citrusy, assaulting his senses. "Give me the price." Jake's grip on the counter turned white-knuckled. He could feel the stares of other customers, the barista beside him holding her breath. For half a second, he considered caving, but then he pictured the smug triumph on Karen's face and something in him dug in. "I can't do that," he said, quieter now. "But I can make your drink right away if you'd like." Karen's nostrils flared. She yanked her wallet from her purse, slapped a $5 bill on the counter and hissed, "Keep the change since you're so desperate." The cafe had gone dead silent. Even the espresso machine seemed to pause. Jake opened his mouth to apologize, to argue he wasn't sure, but Karen was already turning on her heel, her phone raised to record. "Everyone look at this scam," she announced to the room. "They're stealing from customers now." A college kid in the corner snorted into his coffee. An elderly woman shook her head. "And Jake?" He exhaled, squared his shoulders, and did the only thing he could. He turned to the next customer in line and said brightly, "Next." Karen's shriek of outrage was almost musical. The tension in Brew Haven crackled like static before a storm. Karen's shrill voice had shattered the cafe's calm atmosphere, leaving a wake of uncomfortable silence in its place. Jake clenched his jaw as he watched her pivot toward the seating area, phone still raised like a weapon, her stiletto heels striking the tile with military precision. "Can you believe this?" she announced to no one in particular, though her volume suggested she intended the entire block to hear. "I'm being robbed over 50 cents and this child," she jabbed a manicured finger in Jake's direction, "thinks he can just brush me off?" A barista named Lila, her purple-streaked hair tied back in a messy bun, nudged Jake's elbow. "Should I get Marcus?" she whispered. Before Jake could respond, the decision was made for them. The back office door swung open, and Marcus Johnson emerged like a storm cloud rolling in, 6'2", shoulders that filled doorways, and a resting expression that said he'd seen this movie before. His sharp eyes took in the scene: Karen's dramatic stance, the scattered customers pretending not to stare, Jake's white-knuckled grip on the counter. "Everything all right here?" Marcus's voice was calm, but carried the weight of someone who didn't need to raise it to be heard. Karen spun toward him, her designer purse swinging like a pendulum. Finally, someone with authority. She marched up to Marcus, close enough that he could smell the acrid mix of her perfume and entitlement. "Your employee just tried to swindle me. I demand immediate action." Marcus didn't flinch. He glanced at Jake, who gave an almost imperceptible shake of his head. Then, slowly, Marcus crossed his arms. a silent signal that Karen's intimidation tactics wouldn't land here. "Ma'am," he said, his tone even, "our prices are displayed clearly on the menu board. If there's been a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" Karen's laugh was razor-edged. "Oh, that's rich. You think this is about coffee?" She leaned in, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "This is about respect." A muscle in Marcus's jaw twitched. He'd managed Brewhaven for 5 years, long enough to recognize when someone wasn't looking for resolution, but for a stage. "Respect goes both ways," he said coolly. "And right now you're disrupting our other customers." Karen's eyes flashed. She took a deliberate step back, raised her phone higher, and switched to her camera app. "Oh, please keep talking," she purred. "My followers are going to love this." The red recording light blinked like a warning beacon. The cafe held its breath. Marcus didn't blink. "Actually," he said, his voice dropping to a low, deliberate timbre, "let's give them a real show." He turned toward the security camera mounted in the corner and gave it a pointed look. Then, with the ease of someone who'd practiced this move, he pulled out his own phone, opened the cafe's app, and tapped a few buttons. A second later, the flat-screen TV behind the counter, usually reserved for displaying the menu, flickered to life. The entire cafe watched as the screen split into 4 quadrants, each showing a different angle of Karen's grand entrance. Her dramatic door swing, her finger stabbing toward Jake, the way she'd knocked over a stack of napkins in her fury. The footage was crystal clear, including the moment she'd hissed, "Keep the change since you're so desperate." Karen's face drained of color. Marcus pocketed his phone. "We take harassment of our staff very seriously." He let the question hang, eyebrow arched. For the first time, Karen faltered. Her phone lowered slightly. You can't do that," she sputtered. That's illegal." "Actually," Lila piped up from behind the counter, "there's a sign right by the door. For security purposes, this premises is under video surveillance." She grinned. "You walked past it." A beat of silence. Then from somewhere in the cafe, a single, stifled laugh. Karen's lips pressed into a bloodless line. She looked from Marcus to the screen to the smirking customers, and for a fleeting second, something like panic flickered in her eyes. But Karen Prescott didn't retreat, she escalated. "Fine," she spat. She yanked her sunglasses from her purse and slid them on with theatrical flair. "Enjoy your rat-infested coffee shop. I'll make sure everyone knows how you treat loyal customers." She turned on her heel, but not before delivering her parting shot, a sweeping glare at Jake. You're lucky I don't report you to corporate." The door slammed behind her with a force that rattled the cups on the shelves. The cafe erupted, some in nervous laughter, others in muttered commentary. Marcus exhaled through his nose and turned to Jake. "You good?" Jake nodded, though his hands were still shaking. "Yeah. Just another Tuesday, right?" Marcus clapped him on the shoulder. "Go take 5. Lila, replay that footage and save it to the cloud." His mouth quirked. "Just in case." As Jake stepped into the back room, he could already hear the whispers rippling through the cafe, and the unmistakable sound of phones tapping out furious social media posts. The moment Karen stormed out of Brewhaven, the cafe exhaled collectively, a release of tension like steam from an overpressured valve. Lila immediately snatched her phone from under the counter, thumbs flying across the screen. "Oh, she's so getting roasted," she muttered, a wicked grin spreading across her face. Jake slumped against the backroom wall, rubbing his temples. The adrenaline crash left him both wired and exhausted. He could still hear the phantom echo of Karen's shrill voice ringing in his ears. Marcus pushed through the door moments later, his expression unreadable. "You handled that well," he said, tossing Jake a bottle of water. "But we're not done yet." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" Marcus pulled out his phone and opened Twitter. "She's already posted." He turned the screen to reveal Karen's latest tweet, a shaky selfie-style video with the caption, "Disgusting service at Brewhaven. Scammed out of 50 cents and then threatened with surveillance footage. Boycott this place." The video had already garnered hundreds of retweets. Jake's stomach dropped. "Oh, come on." "Wait for it," Marcus interrupted, refreshing the page. Like clockwork, the replies began flooding in, but not the kind Karen had anticipated. "LMAO, did this lady really just throw a tantrum over 2 quarters? Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. Karen, your privilege is showing. Also your roots." Jake blinked. Is the internet mocking her?" Marcus smirked. "Like piranhas on a goldfish." He scrolled down to reveal Brewhaven's official Twitter account, which he'd quietly commandeered, posting the security footage with the caption, When the espresso isn't the only thing that's shot. Hashtag Karen versus coffee. The retweets exploded. Across town, Karen sat in her BMW, furiously refreshing her notifications. Her phone buzzed incessantly, not with the outpouring of support she'd expected, but with a deluge of laughing emojis and sarcastic quips. Her DMs flooded with screenshots of memes already circulating. Her face photoshopped onto a toddler mid-tantrum, a seagull from Finding Nemo screaming, "Mine." Her breath came in short, sharp bursts. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. Then her phone rang. "Gregory office." She answered with forced calm. "Gregory, now's not the best." "Karen, what the hell is this?" Her boss's voice was a thunderclap. "I'm getting tagged in tweets about you screaming at baristas. The real estate board is calling me. Do you have any idea how bad this looks for the company?" Karen's blood ran cold. "Gregory, it's a misunderstanding. Save it. HR wants you in the office. Now." The line went dead. Back at Brewhaven, the mood had shifted from tense to jubilant. Customers lingered, swapping their favorite Karen quotes like trading cards. A local news van even pulled up outside, though Marcus shooed them away with a firm, no comment. Jake, finally off shift, collapsed into a chair near the window. Lila slid a fresh latte across the table to him. "On the house," she said. "Consider it hazard pay." He chuckled weakly, then nodded toward Marcus, who was deep in conversation with a woman in a sharp pantsuit. "Who's that?" Lila's eyes gleamed. "Regional manager." She saw the video. "Guess who just got offered a promotion?" Jake's eyebrows shot up. "No way." Marcus caught his eye from across the room and gave him a slow, satisfied nod. Somewhere in the city, Karen Prescott was unraveling. And Brewhaven? Business had never been better. The following week dawned with an unexpected quiet at Brewhaven, the kind of calm that settles after a storm has reshaped the landscape. Jake arrived for his morning shift to find a line already stretching out the door, but these weren't just customers. They were allies. Regulars flashed him knowing smiles. Strangers nodded with the solidarity of people who'd seen the viral footage and chosen sides. The cafe hummed with an almost festive energy, the air thick with the scent of roasted beans and shared victory. Lila met him at the counter, her eyes alight. "You'll never guess who got fired," she whispered, sliding her phone across the counter. A local business blog's headline blared, "Real estate agent terminated after viral coffee shop meltdown." Below it, a pixelated but unmistakable photo of Karen, her designer sunglasses askew mid-shriek. Jake exhaled, part relief, part disbelief. "Damn." "Damn right," Marcus said, appearing behind them with a stack of fresh pastry boxes. His usual stoic expression had softened at the edges. The tension he'd carried in his shoulders since the incident had finally eased. "Corporate's giving us a bonus for handling the situation with integrity." He smirked. "And Karen's officially banned. For life." A cheer erupted from the nearest table, where a group of college kids raised their cups in salute. Across town, Karen sat hunched over her kitchen island, her phone face down on the marble countertop. The silence in her penthouse apartment was oppressive. No calls from clients, no texts from colleagues. Just the occasional buzz of a notification she refused to check. The sleek, modern space that had once felt like a trophy now felt like a cage. Her reflection in the stainless steel fridge was gaunt, her usually immaculate makeup smudged from restless nights. She'd spent days drafting, then deleting apology posts, only to abandon them in a fury. Apologize for what? She'd been wronged. But the world, it seemed, disagreed. Her doorbell rang. She stiffened. No one visited unannounced, not since the video. Peering through the security camera, she saw a courier holding a slim package. She yanked the door open, snatched the envelope, and slammed it shut without a word. Inside, on crisp cardstock, was an invoice from her former employer. Client reimbursement for unprofessional conduct. $12,750. Her hands shook. Back at Brewhaven, the lunch rush was in full swing. Jake moved behind the counter with a newfound confidence, his earlier nerves replaced by the steady rhythm of workflow. He'd just finished etching a leaf into a latte's foam when the bell above the door chimed, a sound that now made everyone pause just for a second. But it wasn't Karen. It was a woman in her 60s, her silver hair tied back in a no-nonsense bun, her sharp eyes scanning the room before landing on Jake. She approached the counter, her posture rigid. "Are you the young man from the video?" Jake's stomach dropped. "Yes, ma'am." To his shock, she extended a hand. "I'm Eleanor Prescott, Karen's mother." The cafe went dead silent. Jake hesitated, then shook her hand. Her grip was firm, her skin cool. I'm sorry you had to see that, he managed. Eleanor's mouth tightened. Don't be. I've spent 45 years excusing her behavior. No more. She reached into her purse and pulled out a checkbook. I'd like to pay for everyone's coffee today. Consider it overdue karma. A beat. Then, from the back of the line, someone started clapping. By closing time, the story had taken on a life of its own. News outlets picked up the twist. Karen's mother pays for coffee shop's drinks in stunning act of contrition. But Brewhaven's team was done with the spotlight. Marcus flipped the sign to closed, and for the first time in days the cafe was quiet. Jake slumped into a chair, exhausted but lighter. Lila collapsed beside him, nudging his shoulder. So, was it worth it? 50 cents? He laughed, tipping his head back. Every penny. Outside, the sun dipped below the skyline, casting the cafe in golden light. Somewhere in the city, Karen was probably still seething. But here, in this little corner of the world, the air smelled like coffee and second chances. Marcus locked the door with a satisfied click. Tomorrow's another day. And for the first time in a long time, Jake believed that might be a good thing.